Welcome to the Jessica Broadway Show, where life is now in session and we have a lot to talk about. My hope is that the conversations you hear here will provide you with encouragement and endurance for the journey that you're on and the story you're writing with your life. Today, I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to read from my book. So, my book is called A Journey to Raising Brave Hearts, and I published this in 2020. So it's been a few years. And when I published the book, I actually released it on my mom's birthday. And my inscription on the book is for mom and dad, thank you for raising brave hearts. Honor the living, remember the dead. Cheers to choosing life. Now, I know that's maybe an odd inscription, but my dad's been gone almost 12 years now. And what I've found over the years is that we oftentimes spend more time wishing that those who have gone on or they're not with us anymore for whatever reason, whether that be, ooh, something in my eye, whether that be they're physically no longer here because of a death or emotionally they're no longer here because you don't have a relationship with them anymore. Either way, sometimes it's our present moments gets hijacked with the wishing that things were better, more, or different. And this book is all about, being present with the moments that you are given and doing the work to heal the moments of the past that you wish were better, more, or different, how to rise out of the ashes of the things that hold you back. And yes, it's called Raising Brave Hearts, but it's not all about being a parent or raising children. It's about learning how to raise your own brave inside yourself and how to recognize that in others and to create a community of people who embrace their brave and who have brave hearts for living life in the present and doing the work to live their purpose. So, as we approach this particular episode, is going to fall right in that Mother's Day week, and so it's got me thinking about my mom and wanting to honor her and the time that she spent teaching me these life lessons in different ways that maybe she didn't even know at the time that she was doing. So I'm going to read you a chapter in the book. It's chapter 24, and it's called A Maker of Time. And the subtitle is A Brave Heart Creates Time. This is about learning how to be a maker of time. Have you ever had a moment where you wish things were different? Specifically, someone different. Maybe the person you did your forgiveness exercise with in the previous chapter. Have you ever thought to yourself, I wish that they would just defy reason and that there would be this grand gesture, a bold declaration, which would define how much they actually care for you? Your real life magic of the movies moment? Well, one of my things that my family does well is we learn how to be makers of time. Making time for others is one of the most precious gifts you can give. Sometimes it works against you, and other times it works for you. And in this book, so I have to tell you because some of you can't see me doing this, and the ones listening, I need you to know that throughout the book, I put these little inscriptions here, and they're little captions from my journal, and then I have reflections over them. So if it sounds a little out of context, that's why. The inscription is from the journal entry. Are you telling me you're not coming, but you really plan on showing up? Because my hopes are really getting high, and I need to know what world I need to walk in, fantasy or reality. I've said this a time or two. I wrote about it. I'm a dreamer. My go-to is always to dream big, and that phrase in one form or another is our kill switch, meaning if that question gets asked, you have to answer it in our family. You have to tell the person, are you planning some big surprise or are you really not coming? Because we have this habit of being able to make magic happen and make time for each other. And sometimes we owe it to each other to be totally honest, no surprises, and just get straight to the truth. We like to hold each other's dreams gently. We are a show up kind of family, even when things are hard. We have a history of grand gestures and fun memories, so it's natural for us to expect greatness all the time. We have also practiced being honest and honoring each other's expectations. We've learned to share a vision of what we want, even if the answer is no. If the answer is no, this time it lands peacefully with us because of what happens next. We gift each other the space to voice what we wish it could be like. Sometimes there's tears, most always there's laughter, and we acknowledge that it's not always possible to defy reality and create magic, and that's okay. It's okay to say no, but it's not okay to pretend like no isn't disappointing. I was 29, nearing my 30th birthday. I was feeling particularly empty. It was about a week before my birthday, and all I really wanted was this togetherness. My Caden was 6 months old, and I was feeling more and more stretched. I just longed for one of those mom hugs and some sister time. A quiet day of reflecting. As the week went on, I knew that this was less and less likely to be the case. My mom was working full time and had an odd, crazy kind of shift. One of those schedules that makes it nearly impossible for her to make it to me and back in time. Dad was busy with a project, and both of my sisters had tiny babies of their own. Sometimes life is just this way. We're all stretched so thin, it's all we can do to keep together without splitting. Resigning to this, my mom went with a fun new tradition. For those of her children who live far away, she would bake their favorite cake and then call them and sing happy birthday. The night before my birthday, I called to say how much I was regretful of the circumstances, how I hoped that we could make a better plan next year. I was for the I how I had hoped we could make a better plan for the future to be more purposeful with birthdays. I don't know if turning 30 had me freaked out or just the sense of time was passing faster. Here I was on the eve of my 30th birthday, and my sweet husband was doing the best he could to add comfort to my tender heart. I was having a party, all right, a pity party. Have you ever had one of those where you just send out invitations to your pity party? That's where I was. Disappointment was a very hard thing to balance, and someone once told me that disappointment was a luxury that I couldn't afford. He wasn't wrong, but the reality is it was one thing to feel sad, it's one thing to feel sad. Disappointment can lead to a lack of action. It can freeze you and trap you in ruminating thoughts about what you wish was better, more, or different. It can steal you of the present. It leaves you incomplete. And that night, all I could think about was how I wish I had more time. I wish I had a private plane. I wish things were different. I was not present with my sadness. I was everywhere else. To add to my disappointment, I was still working outside the home, and at the time, I had an awful schedule of breastfeeding and pumping. I was up and down all night. For the fourth time that morning, my baby had woken me up around 6 a.m. on a non work day. How dare he? Happy birthday to me, I muttered as I whispered to myself. And if you're a mom, you know that this struggle is real. It's a hard journey. Sleepless nights, juggling careers, making sure everyone else is cared for. I was in a tough season. My soul felt weary. I didn't know how to fill my cup yet. I went into the living room, sitting down, rocking the little one, getting ready to feed him. My chair was one of those neat little swivel rockers, so I faced the window with my back to the hallway. I will add, I was surprised to see my husband up before me on a non work day, especially when all I was going to do was feed the baby and go back to bed. Here I am sitting alone in a rocking chair thinking about how am I going to make the most of today, because I'm not one for sulking too long. Then I hear a whisper, a familiar voice. Happy birthday to you. The way my mom sings those 4 words can warm your soul. I swung around in my chair. Not one, not two, but 3 familiar faces. My mom and my 2 sisters. Their faces lit up loudly, whispering, "Surprise!" All I can muster were tears. Their singing was replaced with happy tears, and we all sat there just soaking up the moment. How did you make it? How did you make this happen? My sister said, we chose to show up. She had gotten this idea that they would just jump in the car and hand deliver the birthday cake this year. And that's what they did. To defy reality and create magic for the ones you love, this is what purposeful living looks like. My mom said, probably some of the best advice I've ever gotten. She realized that time was going to pass one way or another. It would pass if she was driving or pass if she was sleeping. The only thing that would change is the ending. I would be so blessed if this was just a one-time thing, but this extraordinary moment was ordinary to me. It was a way of life for us, this characteristic of our family. We get better with time. We are makers of time. We have brave hearts for those we love. That day, we made a deal to do everything in our power to be with each other on our 30th birthdays. Circumstances change and life changes. Sometimes you can't do what you want to. You can't physically show up. This is where you need grace. Grace for the moments you wish were possible, but you just can't make happen. It's also a moment worth noting that just because you don't succeed at the whole thing doesn't mean you can't strive to succeed at most things. Being free to emotionally show up should never be undervalued. It's what gets us through the times when we can't physically be there. I love my sisters, and I would be remiss if it didn't break my heart that we couldn't follow through with this commitment. I missed Ashley's 30th. I don't even remember the circumstances, only that it was just not possible to be there. We did get to be with Alicia on her 30th, and it was a fun moment looking back at our 30ths, knowing we chose to live and embrace life. Being a maker of time by making time for others, even if it's just a moment to send an encouraging note. That's how you live on purpose. So as we wrap up the time together, I hope that that inspired something in you to be a maker of time. And the way you do that is to show up in the present and don't let the past steal this moment with you, for you. Be with the people that matter when it matters. It can be a phone call. It can be a text to someone. Make time for the people that matter in your life. Until next time, love your people, live your purpose, and don't stop creating new possibilities.